Mike.
Something I've done so many times, trying to keep my head high while everybody's dancing. 'Cause I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. Since you took hold of my broken heart, just like a miracle. You're the angel, the one I've been waiting for. You're the angel, the one that pulled me out of the dark.
You ready to go pretty soon here, John?
Ready to rock, man.
Alright, I'm gonna start recording in just a second here.
Letting go of the past, I can never understand. So many questions why, well everybody's dancing. 'Cause I know
And maybe it's no big deal, but can you turn off the verification mode on Twitch?
I don't know. I normally do that to keep bots out.
Understandable. I haven't verified it yet, so I wouldn't be able to comment. But it's all good. Next time.
I got it pulled up here too so I can make sure the audio is working. Alright, I'm gonna start recording in 3, 2, 1.
From the ads and drops,
Weekly matchup reviews,
coverage on the LA Chargers and Minnesota Vikings,
more NFL hot topics.
Notorious Fantasy Takes with Michael and John. Champions of the Stream League will keep you covered and ready to take your league by storm. So sit back, relax,
And don't tinker your lineup too much yet.
until the show is over. You're listening to Notorious Fantasy Takes.
Time to pull the big switch, good buddy.
From the ads and drops,
Weekly matchup reviews, reviews,
coverage on the LA Chargers and Minnesota Vikings.
and more NFL hot topics.
Notorious Fantasy Takes with Michael and John. Champions of the Stream League will keep you covered and ready to take your league by storm. So sit back, relax,
And don't tinker your lineup too much yet.
until the show is over. You're listening to Notorious Fantasy Takes.
What? I got both like stream audio and our audio going.
And you can't hear the recorded intro?
I can't hear what?
You can't hear the voice intro?
I heard it. No, I heard it.
Okay, I'm gonna re-record this. Sorry, chat.
Yeah, it repeated itself. Didn't you hear that?
Yeah, no, let me know when it's done talking, alright? So I'm gonna start recording.
You want me to just like that's cool?
Yep. Yeah, give me a
Alright.
thumbs up. Yep.
As soon as it ends, right? The
Yep.
first time.
Yeah, whenever
Alright,
whenever
you got
he's
it.
done
You got it.
talking. Alright.
You got it. Let's try it again.
3, 2, 1.
Time to pull the big switch, good buddy.
From the ads and drops,
Weekly matchup reviews,
coverage on the LA Chargers and Minnesota Vikings.
more NFL hot topics.
Notorious Fantasy Takes with Michael and John. Champions of the Stream League will keep you covered and ready to take your league by storm. So sit back, relax,
And don't tinker your lineup too much yet.
until the show is over. You're listening to Notorious Fantasy Takes.
Welcome into a Notorious Fantasy Takes with John and Mike. It's been a while since we've gotten to see you guys and hang out with you guys. We've both been trying to revamp the show, and we're going to go into why. We're just going to kind of catch up for a few minutes here on air. We did a little bit off air, but we're just going to let you guys get caught up because we know you like to get to know us a little bit and hang out. So, John, what have you been doing? What have you been up to? What are you planning? How you doing?
All right, I'm good. Thanks for bringing us back. Shout out to that intro. First of all, let's go. Clap it up. Clap it up.
I want to thank Casey for that. I contacted Casey on Fiverr to do that for me. He had to write him a script and everything. So, I mean, I had to do my part, but he had to do his part. And that part I can't do. So,
The production value. We appreciate it. Thank you for your hard efforts.
absolutely. 100%, dude. How have you been?
I've been good, man. Can't say so much for my team this year, but I've been great.
Oh,
We're just working on my health right now, getting ready for a wedding in February.
Uh-huh.
So we're staying busy. We're staying busy.
That's right. Your wedding is coming up. I forgot. I keep forgetting that.
It's coming up sooner than later.
We always talk about it, too, so.
We do.
No, I've been good, man. Just doing the same thing. Planning a wedding, trying to figure all this stuff out. I'm back in electrical school. Trying to get, one of these in every week. Still doing fantasy football. Not ever done doing fantasy football. Last year didn't go quite the way I wanted it to, but in a way it did go in a way I did want it to. My fiance, Bex, she did fantastic last year. She had two leagues, 2 playoff locks, 1 championship. And she wiped the floor with most of the competition, including myself. She picked her team based off of mustaches, hairstyles, and cool last names. So if you don't think that you can do fantasy football, you can 100% do fantasy football and find ways to win. Even though she did do a lot of crunching of numbers, I didn't help her because we were in the same leagues. Like, she would ask me simple questions like, I'm thinking about doing this. And I'd be like, that's a good idea. But I'm not going to tell you yes or no if you should do that for your team or not. But if you need it, then sure. If you don't need it, maybe not. So that's kind of how those conversations went. But no, it's been super good. So let's just kind of get into why a rebrand, like why a new name for the show. And I guess I'll ask you, John. Why do you think we wanted to do something different and name change? Like, what's your response to that?
I think, we took a break. We had a hiatus. We had some things to work on. We had a first run at it. We had the experience, and I think a rebranding was necessary to come back bigger, better. Dude, but I'm totally digging it. What do you think?
I think
you're the one that did it, so let's see. What's your reasoning for it?
Honestly, I hadn't had a whole lot of time to stream much of anything, and taking the hiatus that I took for some personal reasons that people either know or don't know about. My life is in just a much better place than it's been in a very long time. The happiest I've been in a long time, the most relaxed I've been in a long time, and I just think that as good as the first name was, and even as good as the first show was, I felt like there was certain things that we could elevate and do better, if that makes sense. I just felt like there was things that we could improve on, because I think that that's the key, is to always improve on what you're doing, right? It's great to see you too, Callisto. So yeah, I think that it was just time for that. I felt like we could, you listen to these other shows and you hear the intros that they have and like the different sections that they have, and you're like, I wonder just like what we could do better. And that's kind of where in my head it was like, I don't want to stop doing this. I know John doesn't want to stop doing this. I'm just gonna give it some time. We'll regroup. We'll figure some stuff out. The show's not completely put together tonight. I'm gonna try to add in a transition piece like mid-show when John's talking about something, because we're gonna be talking about a very quick but not super quick recap on the season, which is kind of what we're transitioning to in a couple minutes of, what this season looks like so far. Is it what we expected? Is there surprises? Is there disappointments? And we're going to just get into all that, because a lot has happened in 9 weeks. And 8 weeks. We're going into week 9. And we're going to, of course, we're going to talk some fantasy. We're going to talk some Chargers. We're going to talk some Vikings. So some things just don't change, and they don't need to change, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So let's get into the season here, John. I'm gonna while you're talking on this, I'll rebuttal you, but I want to just hear kind of like what your thoughts on week 1 through 8 are, and I'm gonna give you the floor here for a minute. So as long as you need to express it. So go ahead.
Let me stretch this one real quick. Let me work out the kinks. All right, the floor is mine.
The floor is yours.
All right. Well, it's definitely not what I expected for my team, but let's just talk about some good shockers. I'm impressed by the Miami Dolphins. Maybe it's just a fun team to watch right now, but I think they are high flying. They can put up numbers. We've seen them do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Just to see Coach McDaniels, just right. Is his name McDaniels or?
Yep.
The other one just got fired.
Yeah, I love him. I love the Dolphins head coach. He's fantastic.
No, I'm really impressed by the Miami Dolphins offense. Yeah, they took they have losses.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the NFL. You're gonna get those. I forgot who they lost to. The Bills. That's their division. You know,
I
they know
think
each
so,
other very
yeah.
well.
I'd have to go back and look.
The I guess I didn't expect. I didn't expect the the Bengals to be having the bad start. Are they coming back? Possibly. I don't. I'm not completely sold on it, but I was again. They typically start.
Yeah.
I am the owner of Jamar Chase shares, and I was feeling rough about it for a little bit.
All right, I'm
Um,
done interrupting your stuff, John. I got the transitions in. Okay.
it's cool, man. I just threw me for a loop a couple times.
Sorry.
Um,
So you're surprised by the Dolphins.
I think their offense is looking great. I think they could put up numbers. It's shocking to see how bad the Patriots are in their division.
Yeah.
They have a couple wins, but it's shocking to see how bad they are.
Mm-hmm.
The Jaguars have have the longest win streak in the NFL right now with 6 in a row, I believe.
Yeah.
It's Jaguars tapped. They eliminated our butts from the playoff last year, so I know them very well.
Tila, man. Tila, he's playing good. He's playing good ball.
Let's talk about the short life of Anthony Richardson. That was fun to get a. That was a fun thing to watch for the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I want him to come back, man. I got him in.
Yeah, I know you have shares of him, so I'm sure you're feeling that pain because he was amazing for 3
Yeah,
games.
he was great.
Probably...
I had him in Dynasty, and it was like, man, this guy's great. And my frustration with him is it's the hero ball stuff where like he just runs all the time to go in, and it's like, man, you gotta. I appreciate it. I encourage it in some situations, but not all the time. Like that's because I mean, look what happened. He got hurt. You know, he's out for the season. So
he's gonna learn, and all the other veteran quarterbacks were telling him just protect yourself.
Yeah,
so he'll learn.
When he played. What else has been surprising?
You want to talk trade deadline? Trade deadlines today. I mean, or ended yesterday. The rich keep on getting richer.
Yeah.
49ers defense add another one to the charts.
Yeah, let's talk some trade deadline. So, obviously the trade deadline was yesterday. Some moves were made, some shocking, some kind of like not so shocking. And then just some, I think, smart decisions were overall they went through. Some teams went through. So let's start with something that's related to the trade deadline. We all watch Monday Night Football. We all watched Jimmy Garoppolo overthrow about every single pass that he attempted. We watched the Lions, from what I thought, do really well, but also struggle against a team I thought they should have blown out of the water. So that gives me a little bit relief. But I'm not saying they're a bad team for all the Lions fans that watch this because you guys are killing it this year. Like, I'm just saying that I felt like that was a game that they could have really bounced back from that Ravens loss and been like, this is who we are. And I honestly never got that vibe because if you go back and watch that game and you see some of those plays that Jimmy Garoppolo just openly missed, it was, I mean, he had a 98-yard touchdown to Devontae Adams and he just overthrew him. And then there was a 60-yard pass to Devontae Adams, which I'll give credit to on that one where some pressure was coming, like it was all night to him. But I just felt like Jimmy Garoppolo was not playing great football. I think this team has been a mess. I mean, you can go back to when they had John Gruden to, now their head coach, no longer their head coach, Josh McDaniels. He was terrible. He stinks. Not a good head coach. I think he was 11-17 with the Denver Broncos back in the day. And I don't even remember what his record with the Raiders was, but it was not good. So it's not something that you want to aspire to be. Devontae Adams goes to the Raiders because Derek Carr is there. They get rid of Derek Carr last year, and now he's stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo, which almost kind of seemed like, oh, this could be a good thing. And then it's the opposite. It's horrible. It goes, it's just a bad situation overall. You never really see any fruition of what this roster could look like. I mean, look at the talent they have. They have Josh Jacobs, they have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, who's playing really well. Obviously, they got rid of Darren Waller over to the Jets in the offseason, but then they went and got I think it's Michael Mayer in a newer tight end, a rookie quarterback, and Aiden O'Connell, who's starting this Sunday because now they're benching Jimmy Garoppolo. But what we're going to just point out right now after the trade deadline is the Raiders have officially fired John Gruden and Josh McDaniels within a time span of 3 years. Also, with how much money they pay them, they're now paying two coaches that are no longer there $80 million. That's crazy to me. I mean, that money is unavoidable. Like, they can't do anything about it, you know? So, what are your thoughts on the Raiders, John, in terms of the trade deadline and just, like, firing some of the coaching staff? I think they fired their offensive coordinator, too. I could be wrong on that, but there's just been a lot going on there.
As a Charger fan, you gotta love it. You gotta love watching this thing go down. It's like a dumpster fire.
Of course, yeah.
I could say the same for my organization. Hey, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not firing our coaches. But that's a topic for another day. Yeah, you love to see your opponent struggle. But I saw a clip. I saw an interview with the new interim head coach. I like his style. He grew up a Raiders fan. He's got me believing in them. So I'm like, I don't know. I've seen them come back. I've seen them come back from these situations before. They usually pull it together some way, somehow. With a rookie, I feel like with a rookie quarterback and a new head coach, they're gonna try their best. They're gonna put their best efforts forward, give it all they got, because tomorrow's not promised. So you can bet this coach he's gonna give it his best.
Yeah.
Will it work? We'll find out. We're gonna find out real quick.
I mean, what they were doing wasn't working, right?
Exactly. You gotta feel bad for Devontae in this situation.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, he's got millions. You can cry with those.
He wiped his tears with his money.
You go enjoy that bag real quick. Go drive it off. Go drive off that.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. I think they maybe trade him in the offseason.
Yeah. I hope they do.
I would. Yeah, just because he's too talented.
It's way too good.
Be part of a rebuild, and his career's not gonna be forever. So
right.
Well, we'll find out.
The thing with Devontae, before we kind of go on to some of the other trade stuff, obviously, he wanted to get traded out of Green Bay. He goes over to the Raiders because he's friends with Derek Carr, played with him in college. And then Derek Carr gets shipped out to New Orleans. And then now he is stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo. And at the time, it didn't seem like getting stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo was such a bad thing. But, now I think we're kind of, and maybe this is the wrong thing to say, I think we're now kind of starting to see that maybe a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo's success, yes, he went to the Super Bowl with the 49ers and they lost to the Chiefs, but maybe Jimmy Garoppolo is not the answer that most teams or football fans thought that he was. Because obviously, we all think, well, he learned under Tom Brady for all these years. He should be just a stud. I mean, but sure, you could factor in that there was an injury that happened, the week before this game. Yeah, we could all say that, but I just don't. I don't think there's an excuse for. I think in the Monday night game, the Raiders did not complete a pass in the entire first half.
Facts.
There's no excuse for that. I mean, and they still found a way to score and move the ball downfield enough. They got Josh Jacobs running, that was kind of a good thing. Josh Jacobs was asked about it, and he basically said, "It's not my call."
It's not my job.
It's not my job. Is what he said, and it is interesting to me. Maybe that obviously they're benching Garoppolo. I think this benching is very well deserved, and I think that you have nothing to lose in starting Aiden O'Connell, because I was listening to a couple podcasts today, and one of the opinions that I thought was really cool on it was that the idea that this quarterback is young enough that if Devontae just goes to like up to the guy and says, "Hey, this is kind of what you should do in this situation," like maybe there is a hope for this team, and maybe there is fantasy hopes for the players on this team, for the people that do play fantasy football, such as Devontae. Maybe, don't sell him so fast, because maybe some things are going to change, even though the season for them might not change in the best direction. Maybe they don't go to the playoffs, but maybe they help you go to the playoffs in your fantasy league. So maybe you don't sell yet. Maybe you don't sell Josh Jacobs, because maybe they finally get this offense going a little bit with different leadership. So that's my thing with the Raiders this year. I think that it was super interesting to watch. I don't think the Raiders made any moves at the trade deadline, other than firing their head coach and bringing in their interim head coach. So,
you know what? I'm just looking at the schedule. They got the Giants this week. I think that's a fair first game for the coaches and the team.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a chance,
Yeah, we'll
Like-
see what they're made of. A fair assessment for fantasy as well. Like, what can this team be?
Yeah. Before we go too far, I did forget to kind of mention my surprises and disappointments in the year. So I think what I'll do with that is, the surprise for me is the Detroit Lions. For all the Detroit Lion fans that I talk to and chirp around with in the NFC Elite groups, I hope that you hear this and see this, because I'm going to give you all the credit where credit is due. I think that Dan Campbell, having the first couple seasons he had there, was rough. Always got the Michigan shirt.
They go to Michigan once. Goes to Michigan once. Goes to Michigan once. Comes back a fan. Let's go.
They're in trouble. Signal stealing.
Hey, let's not talk about it, right?
Yeah. No, the Detroit Lions have. I think it's been a pleasant surprise for a lot of football fans, especially the fan base of that team, because this is a team that has done not a lot for the last 30 years. They're 6-2 on the division. That's the surprising thing for me. Mainly just in the NFC, and also in my division, in the NFC North. We did not expect that. I thought that maybe the Lions would be the Lions and not have such a great season. But kudos to the Lions and Dan Campbell and them. They're balling right now. I would like to see them play a little better against pretty bad teams like the Raiders. I felt like the only reason that maybe they kind of won that game was because the Raiders just weren't clicking on offense. I felt like that was a game that you really put them away, like you put them down. But I mean, it was a good bounce back win for them. A win's a win. I'm not gonna degrade any sort of win in the NFL, because a win in the NFL is hard to come by. You can ask any player or any starting quarterback; they will tell you the same thing, that if you can get a W, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how you get it. The disappointments for the season for me, obviously with my own team, but that one's just too obvious. I really kind of expected more out of Jordan Love. I felt like with how young that Packers team is, that it was going to be kind of one of those situations where, like, yeah, like, this is going to be good. Like, Jordan's going to, he's Aaron's protege. Like, let's see what he's got. And honestly, the GM of the Packers is saying that maybe this isn't the guy. Like, it's an important 10 games coming up. We got to see what happens. They're sitting in the bottom of the division with the Bears right now. Another disappointment in our division is the Bears with Justin Fields. I like what I'm seeing from Tyson Bagent, even though the games aren't turning into W's. I do think that Tyson Bagent is possibly the right direction to go. But outside of our division, I'm super impressed with the Jaguars, man. Like, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne coming back off an injury from last year, just balling out, playing hard. That's a big surprise for me. And then a disappointment, I think, is kind of the, if I had to say a disappointment, I would say it's probably when I watch a Chiefs game and all I see is Taylor Swift. Like,
Thank you.
like
I totally
I totally
brought her up.
support the two. I think they're a great pair. I think that he's a guy that like she normally doesn't go for, and she's a girl he doesn't go for, and they're going for it, and I think they're great together. Honestly, it's like Becca, my fiance, is a huge Taylor Swift fan, and we went to the movie because we couldn't go to the concert. We're looking at getting her a jersey that says Swifty or something on it. So it's yeah, I just put the football game on the TV, please.
So you think it's good for the NFL? You're a fan of it.
I don't like how much they coverage it. I think they're overdoing it. I agree with the Kelsey brothers or Jason Kelsey when he talks about it. Like, hey, sometimes you're gonna put a camera on somebody when they're eating a cheeseburger. Come on, just let them go watch the game. Let them be people. Like, come on now,
It's true.
So
It's true.
that's my one
Like
disappointment.
we already know, right? Like, oh, she's in attendance. We
The
get it.
one,
Don't go back to her.
the disappointment I will say that is an honest disappointment has been the reffing this year, though. I felt
A lot of
like
flags. A lot of flags.
I felt like a lot of flags have been wrong. I felt like a lot of no calls have been wrong. And I'll get into that more with my team when we talk about our team at the end. But that's another issue. But I just feel like to sum it up shortly is the reffing and officiating has been kind of bad. Some bad injuries, as Callisto said. Callisto said, injuries seems like we're seeing more of these past few seasons. Are the leagues being more cautious, tending to put players on IR more than they used to?
I feel that.
Yeah, we'll get into that, Callisto. Bring that back up when we get to the end because we're going to answer some questions at the end of the recording. So, back into the trade talk. Let's get into let's get into a big one, Chase Young. So, Ian Rappaport tweeted, sources, former number 2 overall pick Commanders defensive end Chase Young is being traded to the 49ers. Incredible. Likely a mid-round pick in 2024. After dealing Montez Sweat to the Bears, Washington now trades Chase Young to one of the NFL's best teams and the best defenses, which would be the 49ers. And by the way, if you didn't know this, Chase Young has been paid by his team already, the Commanders, and the 49ers are getting a stud defensive end for about $500,000 on the year. I think it's like $560,000 for the season. Crazy. Their defense just got better. And then talking about on the same team, the Commanders also traded away Montez Sweat over to the Bears. Let's talk about that one. That one's very confusing to me, and then we'll kind of talk about the Commanders, and we'll have to get Robbie on here someday soon and talk about his team and his thoughts on it. So my thoughts on Montez Sweat going to the Bears. First off, I'm not a believer in tanking. However, I don't think the Bears are in a place to be buyers right now. I actually probably would have traded maybe Locke from there. I would have maybe traded a couple other pieces to get some draft picks and just play out the rest of the season. Try to win your games. Obviously, I think the Bears are probably ready to move on from Justin Fields. Maybe they're going to enter the Caleb Williams issue. We'll see. I don't want anything to do with Caleb Williams because he wants ownership of the part of the team that he goes to, which doesn't happen. Shouldn't happen. I don't like that. I think it's a cool thing to say, and like it shows belief that when you get drafted somewhere, you want to be that invested. But players don't normally partake in ownership with the teams. It gets shut down pretty quick. That's something I think that is for after your career. But that's just my humble opinion, and maybe I don't know anything. So, but I feel like right now the Bears definitely be selling, not buying in. But then I did hear a retrospective opinion on it on a really good podcast today that said, well, maybe this is the Bears bringing somebody else in to show Locke, be like, hey, like, hang on a second. Maybe we can figure some things out here. Maybe we can get better and improve this defense, So I do see both sides of it, but me being a Vikings fan, I do think the Bears have been in such a maze and a mess that I just think that maybe it would have been a good year for them to sell some players, get some pieces, focus on a draft a little bit. Not tank, but focus on a draft, knowing that this season's probably not going anywhere far. What are your thoughts on the Commanders trading these players? John, what are your thoughts on the Bears doing this and the 49ers
You
getting
think the Bears are
Chase Young?
tanking?
I don't know. It didn't seem like it when they just became a buyer for Montez
Yeah.
Sweat.
That's why I'm like, I don't think they definitely need offense though, right? Like they need a quarterback. They need a lot of help. Let's
I
just
don't
be
know what the
honest.
problem is there, man.
I can't. I wish I could tell you. There's a lot wrong. There's a lot wrong.
My
with the
family is
Bears.
Bears fans, and I'll tell you what. Like every time we watch the Bears games, it's kind of like what is
Head
wrong with
scratcher, huh?
it's kind of like what's wrong with this team? Like, because we do this show, and we see teams, and we're like, oh man, that offensive line's pretty bad, or that defensive front's pretty bad, or oh man, this team's secondary needs some work, or like, gosh, I wish this
But what
person would.
happened? Because
But the whole
last
team, it just
season was
the whole team just seems off. Like every
They don't-
week.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I can
Figure
say
it out.
after Tyson Badgett has taken over, I do see more
Potential?
I do see more clarity of what's wrong with the team. I mean, he comes in, wins a game. Obviously, they lost last week, but I mean, I felt like Tyson Badgett
Yes.
is playing better than what they would be getting with Fields. But that's just me. So, do you like these trades?
I'm not sure what the heck the Commanders are doing either, though. Do I like them? I mean, I think the best one was Chase Young going over.
Yeah. Do
You
you
know.
do you think that I guess what I'm curious about is
But nobody else wanted Chase Young. Like, honestly, the 49ers was like, yeah.
do
bring him over
you
here.
think the Commanders are selling at the wrong time though? Because Sam Howell played a really good game last week.
Nah, they need a lot of help too. Sam Howell's not the answer. I mean, you can't tell me. You can't confidently look me in the eye and say, "Yeah, that's my quarterback."
No, I can't, but I can. I do. I do think
you-
that there's a certain level of, oh, maybe this was a little too soon because like that game.
I mean, he's got like a Heineke-esque feel to him. Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna put this game on my shoulder. He does, right? Taylor Heineke's that kind of guy. Like, okay, things are still going bad. I'm still trying. He's still trying.
Mhm.
There's the show quit, but the Commanders are like, maybe it's just the first year under Bieniemy, and
Yeah,
it's complicated.
it could be. Yeah, I mean,
It could be.
complicated system.
It's a complicated system. It's hard to look great.
Yep.
And maybe it was Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. So they're trying to figure it out themselves, but I think they're just as bad of a team. What's their record right now? Let's pull that up. Let's see.
Yeah, you pull that up.
I'm curious to see. Let's go ahead.
Um,
Where are
Speaking of looking bad, let's jump into another trade that maybe you thought could be good or bad. I just think this team looks terrible. I think this was the right thing to do. I think some Packer fans are happy about it.
they're 3-5.
So-
I'm in no position to talk.
So the Packers are trading away cornerback Rasul Douglas and a 2024 fifth-round pick to the Bills in exchange for a 2024 third-round pick. Douglas, 29, is in the second year of his 3-year, $21 million contract, and due to a base salary of $6.250 million for the 2024 season, Douglas has recorded 32 tackles, 25 solo, 2 TFLs, 1 interception, 6 pass breakups, and 1 FR and 7 starts this preseason. So Rasul Douglas, going to the Buffalo Bills, getting out of greasy Green Bay. Thoughts on this, and what does the Packers secondary begin to look like? Because I do have something to add to this once we talk on this.
I like his stats. I mean, am I wrong? Those
No,
stats look good.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, I think if I don't know the guy. I'm not watching too much defensive Packers, and I watched a little bit of Jair Alexander, but it doesn't sound like a bad trade. What did they give up? What did the Bills give up? Bills
Uh,
gave bu- bu- bu-
in exchange for a 2024 third round pick.
hey, that's a player. I mean, I think it's a stud. The Bills, they need help too. In multiple directions. I think they need their defense to step up at times. They need their offense to produce at times.
Yep.
There's not it's not consistent, and just 1 to 2 seasons. The Bills are in the playoffs, but they don't look like the same Bills team.
Yeah, they don't.
Um,
That was another disappointment that I forgot to mention was the Bills. I just feel like they're slow. They're starting really slow in games, but we can talk about that in a little bit.
yeah, it's they say it's the season's still young. 8 games in, we're halfway through, right?
Yep. 9 games. I think this is an interesting trade. I think that the Packers may be doing the right thing here. Obviously they're just not where they probably thought they were going to be this year. I think that one thing we're seeing with Green Bay right now is uh, how good a quarterback can make a head coach look. I mean, sometimes you watch these Packer games, and Matt LaFleur just looks lost. Like he just looks very confused. Again, on tanking, I don't really believe in it, but I think the Packers, if they start focusing on just playing the game, playing what's ahead of them, seeing what they got on the field, seeing what they can improve on, and then go into the draft, try to have a good draft, improve your team. Um, they got an animal at a defensive end or a linebacker last year. I think that there's some things they can definitely improve on. They're one of the youngest teams in the NFL. I think they are one of, if not the youngest roster in the NFL. Christian Watson's over there. Go Bison. Just some of these balls are just overthrown and underthrown, and I just feel like Jordan Love maybe is not catching on to what he's supposed to be doing or missing assignments. But that's just me. Um, Speaking about missing assignments, this I know Jair did not say this. I just found it really funny that somebody said that he said it. It's a meme page, so I just figured it was worth sharing because it's funny. NFC North news shares a lot of propaganda that is not real. And this is one of the funniest ones I saw. It says, breaking news. The Packers cornerback Jair Alexander says the Vikings rookie Jordan Addison's performance was a fluke and that he was barely on him anyway. Addison had 1 touchdown and was 3 out of 3 with 50 yards when lined up against Jair today. Wow. Now, the funny thing is I know Jair didn't say that, but he did say that about Justin Jefferson. He called that game a fluke, where Justin got, I think it was 150 yards on him at US Bank. I was at that game. Fun game to be at. I was also at Lambeau last year, and I lost a bet, and I had to wear a cheese head in front of everybody in Lambeau Field. My cousin's a Packers fan. He's from Kenosha, Wisconsin, so shout out to James. It was a fun time, and I would definitely go back to Lambeau Field. But I think that it was kind of funny that somebody posted this because Jair was probably talking the whole time. My favorite thing about this though is that the Packers, I felt like, have been spoiled for 30 years with two franchise quarterbacks, and they're just not used to this. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that in all honesty because like it's kind of fun to watch to see the Packer fans squirm a little bit to be like, oh man, we don't really look that good right now. And obviously we have our own issues that we're going to talk about when I talk about the Vikings. But it's somewhat enjoyable to see Packer fans squirm, and some of the funniest responses I've gotten when you get in these NFC Elite trash talk groups is when you bring this specific thing up with Jordan Addison is they say, oh, well, he slipped. Oh, he was having back spasms the entire game. Honestly, save it. Jair has ran his mouth all off season. He's a great corner, but him and Rasul Douglas, James, my cousin, will concur someday when he comes on the podcast that the trash talking sometimes by those guys needs to stop because they can't always back it up. And he's a Packers fan. He's one of the most realistic Packers fans. And watching Jordan Addison burn Jair on that play right after the interception in the Green Bay Packers game last week was phenomenal. I mean, it was one-on-one coverage. he did a nasty move on him and he went straight to the house in one play. I thought it was amazing. So, um, that's kind of my thought on the Packers move with Rizal Douglas. I think that it's good for him to get out of Green Bay right now. They're just not in a good spot to be right now. So then let's get into the last trade that we're gonna talk more about this once we talk about the Vikings. Let's get into this. The Vikings made 2 trades. I don't have a graphic for the other one. Per Adam Schefter, Cardinals traded Josh Dobbs and a 7th round pick to the Vikings for a 6th round pick. Josh Dobbs, if you don't know, went 1-7 with the Arizona Cardinals. He ended up playing rather well, but he is a little turnover friendly. That's the thing I don't like. But what I do like is that he's mobile. I think that once you kind of hear more about this trade, you'll see that it was a smart trade by Kevin O'Connell. I'm not a big believer in tanking. I think that tanking creates a culture of losing. I think that when you go out of your way to tank, it's super risky because what if that player that you get doesn't pan out in the draft? I don't think tanking is really ever an option, and we haven't really seen any teams that have tanked really get the fruition of it until it's like 3, 4, 5 years later. I mean, the one team I can say off the top of my head is probably Tua with the Dolphins. You know, they tanked for Tua, and that seems to be working out pretty well. But I mean, there's no Vince Lombardi sitting on a statue. There's no statues built. Like, I just don't think the tank process is something that coaches should endure or teach their players because I think it creates a losing atmosphere for a long time that's hard to get out of. And then the other trade the Vikings made that kind of offsets this whole trade is they traded away Ezra Cleveland after signing Dalton Risner earlier in the season. And they ended up trading for Cam Akers midseason too. He's been running the ball really well. But the Ezra Cleveland trade before the deadline was very smart because they got rid of an offensive lineman that really wasn't doing much at this point with Risner being there. They sent him over to Jacksonville, and in return, they get a 6th round pick. So what do we pay for Joshua Dobbs and get an additional 7th round pick? Nothing. We got a quarterback, a 7th round pick, and our 6th round pick back. Not sure where it's at in the draft, if it's a little farther in the 6th or earlier in the 6th, but doesn't matter. It's in the 6th round. So
it's a good trade.
I felt like it was a smart trade. Your thoughts on Josh Dobbs?
It's a win. Josh Dobbs, he's a journeyman. He's been in the league for a few. I would say he's a veteran by now.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been.
You know, he's not gonna. He'll lose you games.
Yep.
A couple fumbles, but he can, you know.
Do you think that a lot of the issues he was having though over in Arizona was because it was Arizona?
Yeah. I mean, it is Arizona. I don't even know who the coach is. He is a rookie head coach. It's his first time calling plays. I mean, we'll see how he does in the Vikings, though, man.
Yeah.
You know, he's starting, right? Or is he backup?
I think right now he's a backup. I think he was a guy that just wanted to get to, like, you know, complete a
safety net. We're gonna
complete a quarterback room. Yeah.
And who are we gonna start?
They're starting Jaron Hall this week for sure.
And how do you feel about that?
I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get until you put it on the field.
Give him a shot. That's
where we're at right now. We'll get into that. So before we do, we're going to take just a quick moment to shout out a newly partnered affiliate program with Dr. Squatch. So,
yeah,
let's do this here. So, recently, Dr. Squatch reached out to me, and I am now an affiliate with them. John here has the Herbert Fresh from the Justin Herbert from the LA Chargers. If you want to smell like Justin Herbert, go to Dr. Squatch with the link in the About panels. And then also I will get a command in the chat so you guys can select that link. You can type in my code and you will get a discount on your order. If you want to smell like me or John, or if you just want to smell like a man, go to Dr. Squatch and make sure you guys get a good bundle. What I personally like to do is I like to get the Marvel package, just the Star Wars packages of it. And then what I love about their subscription package, honestly speaking, not just trying to sell it, is that you can, if you don't need anything, you can absolutely pause your subscription. Pause your subscription. You can skip a shipment, and then you won't be getting any for like the next 3 months. I love that about it because right now I am loaded with it right now because I don't go through it as fast as I have been in the past, but I do use it all the time. I use their hair products. I use the cologne. I do love their stuff. So check out Dr. Squatch. But yeah, let's get into some of the post part here. So let's do this. All right. So what is our first topic, John, that we were going to cover here?
What was it?
I got it here. All right. Let's talk about our fantasy rosters here.
Ooh.
Let's talk about that. So I'll let you go through yours first, John. How many leagues are you in this year? How are they going? Thoughts? I mean, we got into it a little bit before the show. I mean, and I want you to repeat exactly what you said.
All right, so I'm in six leagues this year. And I think I speak for a lot of people that this is a tough season. Like I think a lot of these leagues I'm a game away from the top. You know, it's a very tight knit run. Last season when we were having an off season, I acquired a dynasty team. So this league was in operations for it was its second year, and a team quit, and someone asked if anyone was interested in picking up a team, and the confidence in me says I could turn it around. Let's go. I've done this. I do this for a living. Let's do it. So I jumped into the Golden Hoagie League. Boy, was I wrong. This is a bad team. This is a bad team. We're 3-5. It could be worse. I do truly believe that there are some people tanking in this league.
Yeah.
It is a tough dynasty league. I'll just start off with my roster right now. I got Kenny Pickett as my quarterback.
Oh yeah, that's a good start.
There we go. I have Austin Eckler. That is a start. This is why I opted in to take this team over.
You got Austin Eckler from that team?
Yes. This is why.
That's pretty good. That's a good start.
Right. And then I also have Nick Chubb. So this whoever drafted this team went running back heavy.
Yeah, sure. Oh, Nick Chubb though. I mean, that's rough.
You know, hit me with another sad sound effect.
I think I got one.
Here, hit him. And then they had Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is the quarterback. He's on the unable to play list.
Ooh.
Matthew Stafford is my super flex. That hurts. My wide receivers. Okay, let me just see if I have any studs on the bench so I can at least impress you. Calvin Ridley.
Yes, that's not bad.
I picked him up before this season started. I made a trade for that. I have Cortland Sutton. I think he came with the team. Oh god, this team is rough. Freiermuth is the tight end. He's on IR.
Oh man,
it's just bad, you know. Jonnu Smith, I picked him up this season.
What's on your waiver wire in there?
Oh, it's not pretty, man. It's not pretty.
It's pretty.
The next available quarterback is Jaron Hall. That's on your team.
Yeah.
It's pretty scarce. Wide receiver, the best wide receiver available right now is Khalil Shakir on Buffalo. That's terrible. So I just wait for injuries to happen and I play the waiver wire. And that's how sometimes I've been just making these wins happen.
That's rough.
It's rough, you know. And okay, I'll take a chat. I'll take a poll chat. 2 first round draft picks for same year. 2 same year draft picks for Austin Eckler.
Okay.
That's what I've been
You
offered.
want me to do a poll?
Do a poll.
I'll do a poll for you.
I'm 3-5. My other running back is Nick Chubb. He's on the IR, and someone offered me. Let me sit on it. A first and a second.
Okay, for a first and a second round, huh?
For Austin Eckler. I'm thinking, screw the second round draft pick. Give me 2 scrub running back. Give me some running backs.
2 scrubs.
Give me some running backs. You know, I'll take the first and just give me a running back.
Okay.
That's Austin Eckler.
Zach Moss.
No.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take that. You take JT?
I'll take Jonathan Taylor in the first round draft pick.
Okay. All right. We're going to do 1 minute on this poll. Start. Okay. Who else could I throw in here? What about Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, I'd take him. Dynasty? Yeah, I'd take him.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is also, I take this, I trade him away, get the first round draft pick.
Oh, we're
maybe the
talking
second-
Dynasty.
We're talking Dynasty.
Oh, okay. Let's start this over then. What do you think about Bijan Robinson?
Take him.
Okay, so now compare Bijan Robinson to Travis Etienne.
Take ETN.
Okay, you're gonna be Etienne. Who could I do make a final offer instead of that?
Those are good options. I don't think I'm getting that return rate on Austin Eckler.
Gosh.
Like, I should, right? But they're giving me the first round draft pick also.
What about what's how do you say his name? The Miami Dolphins rookie.
Oh, it's Chain or something like that.
Achan, yeah.
And a first round? Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it.
All right, throw some out for me.
What are you working with? Oh, quarterbacks?
Yeah, I'll do quarterbacks.
Wait, do you have a real situation you're working on?
Yeah, man, I got a situation.
Let's go. Give me your
right.
situation.
Okay, in Dynasty, right now I have Anthony Richardson, Joe Burrow. It's a super flex. I did end up getting Jaron Hall off of waivers. I'm starting Gardner Minshew, and I have Anthony Richardson on IR because the way my draft went in Dynasty this year was I drafted Bijan, Anthony Richardson, Sam Laporta, and then I also drafted Marvin Mims, but I shipped him because I was not seeing it. So maybe it was a lot early to do that, but that's fine with me. But yeah, that's what I'm working with. So go.
Let's see. So who's your trade piece?
Oh man.
Who's your trade piece?
Say I was offered a trade for Anthony Richardson, and somebody wanted him from me.
And you would want a quarterback, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I would definitely want to get a quarterback or a pick, right?
Let's see. Yeah. You take Bryce Young?
Yeah. I think I'd take. I think
for
I'd,
an active QB.
Yeah,
to
I
bring
think
back in the
super
game?
flex. I think I'd take Bryce Young. He's been playing pretty good lately.
You take Kyler Murray?
No.
Ooh. He draws the line at Kyler Murray. You take Daniel Jones?
No.
Oh, he's done on Daniel Jones. Because he's going to come back too. Take Brock Purdy?
Yeah, I'll take Brock Purdy.
Say Brock Purdy? Okay, yeah. This is the offense itself, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
driving
intriguing.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to make hard ones. There's obvious ones I'm gonna hit you with, but like obviously you take that. Um, hmm, 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 hmm. You're not taking Josh Dobbs, are you?
No. Not unless I have to. I mean, I have him in one league, but
Yeah,
I had him when he was playing for Arizona.
Mac Jones.
I'd take Mac Jones.
Mac Jones for Anthony Richardson.
Not four. I would want more than Mac.
Oh, you need to juice it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
you need to juice that one up. But I mean, I think it could work out if Mac goes to the right team.
Mm. Oh, you think Mac's not even gonna be there next year?
I mean,
I got a good. I got a good one.
I don't know. I don't think. I'm not sure if he will or not.
You taking Geno Smith?
Yeah, I think if he was thrown in a package, Gino's proven some value over in Seattle. Yeah, I think I'd do that.
I like it. I like it. Let's see. You taking Aaron Rodgers?
No, not in Dynasty. Not in Dynasty. I do one thing just to do a quick shout out. I thought it was really cool of Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. He talked about they were talking about the Achilles tear, which we're gonna get into in very quickly and briefly. For Kirk, he has contacted Kirk Cousins and has passed on some rehab advice and some places to go and things to do and the process of how he's been doing it, and offered to assist in the process for Kirk to get back, because Kirk he gave Kirk a really big compliment in saying that the football he was playing was big time this year, balling out for the team, clawing their way back into playoff contention, and just saying that hey, he was a baller this year, and I'm gonna offer whatever I can to help all of these guys in the NFL dealing with this Achilles tear injury. It's just kind of a fluke injury that has been happening to people, and it's not been grass, it's not been turf. They can't determine what it is. I mean, Kirk's happened at Lambeau Field on real grass. You know what I mean? Aaron's landed on turf. So even he said you can't really determine what's causing this injury. But I just wanted to do a quick shout out for that. I thought that was really classy of Aaron Rodgers to be like, hey, what do you need? I'll help you out.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool, actually. Kirk's a good guy. It's you hate to see these things happen.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. So let's transition into from this spot. Well, actually, two more things. Booms or bums of the year that you've seen so far. List two of each. Who's been your two booms? Who's been your two bums that you expected more of?
Tough.
Mm-hmm.
This is tough.
I'll let you think. My one of the booms that I had in mind, but now is a bum, I would say would have been Devontae. I drafted him in a couple leagues, maybe just one league, but I mean, just what's going on over the Raiders, total bum, total bust, not good. And then my second one, I think I expected more out of going into this year. I just don't think the usage is there. Is Mike Evans. I feel like Mike Evans is not in a good situation over in Tampa Bay right now. Granted, I know they beat the Vikings, but at the beginning of the year, kind of a good start to the season, but the Bucks just don't look the same. Obviously, they're not going to look the same without Brady, but I don't know if this offense works with Mike Evans being there and also, playing with Baker Mayfield. I just don't know if they click the way that, we expected them to. And then the booms that I think we've had this year, Tua Tua's been
Tua
going off, dude.
looking good.
And then the second one I would throw out there is T.J. Hawkinson. He had a rough start to the season. And while we're on that, about TJ, I just want anyone that doubted TJ Hawkinson to, if you can see this waiver up in the top left of the screen, there's a TJ Hawkinson apology form for you to date and sign, and then you can say I was jealous of TJ, that you don't know football. Media told you that he was bad, yet you only listened to ESPN. Mercury was in retrograde, that you didn't watch the actual games, and that you'd be checking the box saying that you hereby am sorry for your behavior and respect TJ Hawkinson. And that the apology also needs to be as loud as the disrespect that was being thrown out to him. Yes, he had a first rough couple games. Lots of drop issues, but they seem to have gotten that in the past now. So, just a kind of a fun side note to do. But yeah, I would say TJ Hawkinson for me has been a big boom. He's been playing really well, especially in PPR leagues. If he, I think he was a good pickup.
All right, I agree. I got my list now.
All right, what's your list?
All right, so I'm gonna go with bust first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay,
I have a couple shares of him.
it's a good one.
Yes, he may turn this season around though.
Yeah.
We just saw it. He had a revamp at 30+ points. With Will Levis, it could change around. I'm glad I stuck around with him. Another one is T. Higgins.
Yep.
They went around right around the same value. For what was available at that wide receiver range, I was like,
Sports.
T. Higgins and DeAndre Hopkins are going to be some of my busts so far this year. But I'm hoping they turn it around. Let's see. For booms, let's just Puka Nakua. If you got your hands on him, you thrive. You're winning.
Puka, he's had a rough couple weeks. I do think
Sure.
I do think his fantasy output going forward, the season with Stafford's injury and Cup being back, which I don't think Cup being back is such a big thing with it per se. I do think that
I think it's Stafford.
Yeah, I think it's more on the Stafford side. Like, Puka was on pace, man. He was doing great, and then all of a sudden,
we've seen this
had a couple
offense
bad games.
thrive before. We've seen this thrive before with multiple wide receivers, with the Robert Woods, the Cooper Kupp era.
Yeah.
So it can be done. Another boom. I guess, Raheem Mostert, man. If you got your hands on Raheem Mostert, I think you're pretty happy. And I think he went rather late. 8th round, 7th round, like that.
Yeah, he wasn't like an early pickup. I didn't feel good about that pick if I was getting him that late.
No, definitely not. I definitely picked him up later in the drafts, and I think he was slept on. I will say he was slept on.
Yep.
As far as running backs.
I agree. So let's get into this next section here. We're going to talk about the Chargers and also the Vikings. And yes, Callisto, I do also think Derrick Henry could do better. But also, that offense is kind of rough right now. Might change with Will Levis. But I was really hoping that the Titans would make a move to trade Derrick Henry.
Anyway,
I don't know. So let's get into the Chargers and the Vikings and just our divisions overall, because we haven't really gotten to dive into that. More of it was the expectation of like the full season of surprises and disappointments. So the questions that we'll answer are: is the division that you're in the position that you thought it would be in, or is it very different? Are you excited or disappointed about it? The second one would be, how's your team been? Where's it going? How do you view kind of like the rest of the season for you? Is it behind you or in front of you? Like, how do you feel about where the direction that your team's going right now?
Okay, great question. We'll start off with It's day to day with me. All right, so last week we had to play the Chiefs. We are have a losing record right now. I believe we're 3-5. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, um, I expected a lot more out of this team. We're too talented on paper. We have the talent, in the locker room, but we're not executing. As a Coach Staley is a defensive minded coach. You got here because you were a defensive genius, and I haven't seen it in 3 seasons, my guy.
Mm-hmm.
Show me a defense, man. I'm getting tired of it. Like, we couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like, help help this team. Like, we have too much talent, and it's gonna go to waste. You have Khalil Mack. He's on borrowed years. Like, he's still putting up good numbers.
I haven't even
Yes,
heard Khalil's Mack name really even be announced for a while.
exactly. We have we would call it the other Bosa brother because his other one shines out more.
The
We have the
other,
other Bosa.
the, the other Bosa brother.
We have the other one. Um,
We got
I
the
mean,
other guy.
look, as long like my team is loaded with talent, I just like to see it executed better. We beat the Bears last week. We're supposed to
Yeah.
beat the Bears last week. I do believe Coach Staley is on borrowed time. That loss, if we would have lost last week, I think that would have been it.
Yeah.
Um, at the same time, I think the game plan is we still fire Coach Staley. Shout out, sorry, Coach, it was fun. You gotta go. We're gonna promote Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, to the head coach, and we're gonna bring in a new defensive-minded coach.
Yep.
That's
I
it.
agree with that.
Give it our best. We're not tanking. We're gonna give it our
Yeah.
best. It's not gonna be enough though. The Chiefs are the team to beat in my division.
Yep.
Every year they're the team to beat.
Yeah. Yeah. We gotta find a way to stop them, man. Swifties are gonna take over if they win another Super Bowl. So for me, I feel like with the Vikings, just wanted to like kind of go right into it. I feel like the Vikings did what they had to do in this trade deadline and getting Josh Dobbs. I felt like it was, just kind of like giving yourself an opportunity to have a full quarterback room. I appreciate that we're not elevating Sean Mannion from the practice squad. That's where he needs to stay. I mean, we've had him in the past. I don't want him. Nick Mullins is going to be coming off IR within the month, so I mean, he's an option at quarterback. It's been around the league, played for some teams, started some games. Josh Dobbs has a lot of mobility. I think if he can learn how to protect the ball a little bit, and maybe underneath a quarterback guru coach like Kevin O'Connell, maybe this could work. Maybe he does well. But like honestly, my first and foremost hope is that Jaron Hall can come in and take his shot. They drafted him in the 5th round. I hope that he can kind of pan out to be what maybe the team expected him to be. He knows the playbook. He knows the terminology. He is the QB2 on the list. I mean, maybe that could be different if Nick Mullins was in the picture. But I mean, I didn't love what happened at the end of the Green Bay game. Obviously, Kirk goes down with an Achilles tear, no non-contact injury, same as Aaron Rodgers.
Crazy.
Just kind of sucks, this team started off, to kind of summary the season, this team starts off 0-3. Most of these losses are very self-inflicted turnovers, just not taking care of the ball. And you're talking, this team is in a constant war to win all these games. They lost to the Eagles. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Bucks, who are doing well this year. Not great, but they're doing well. They lost all these games. They lost at 4-4 by a total combined margin of 13 points. Just lots of self-inflicted mistakes. I think what you see on paper until before the Kirk Cousins injury is probably a 7-1 team. Not undefeated, but I felt like the Chargers game we could have won, and we didn't clock the ball. It didn't make sense to me why Kevin O'Connell did not have them just clock the ball. That didn't make sense. The Chiefs. The only thing I'll say about the Chiefs game is there was 4 penalties on that last drive. Not called. Illegal hands to the face. Holding or PI, whichever one you want to call on, the route with Jordan Addison. Those were there. They picked one flag up, and then they said, "Hey, put your helmet back on." They didn't throw a flag. They said,
Yeah.
and I know before someone jumps on me, I know the outcome of that. It's a turnover on downs, but there's 5 minutes left in that game. That turnover on downs would have put the Chiefs around like the 1 to 5 yard line. The defense has been stepping up with flow. I appreciate that. But I mean that game in itself, I felt like we were playing the refs in that one for sure. I feel like a lot of people have felt that way with some of the Chiefs games this year. A lot of calls have maybe gone more their direction, and that's all I'll really say about that. But I just feel like overall the refs could have been doing better. But in terms of the Viking season, it just feels like a lot of really dumb mistakes. I don't think we'd be better off with Dalvin Cook. He's not playing hardly at all over in New York Jets, and I think even if he was having the ability to play, they'd still use him. But like he's just not what he used to be. He had 5 breakout plays last year. I didn't feel like what he did was good enough to keep him and give him all that money. So I was fine with the Vikings letting him go. I think we were all hoping Alexander Madison would be the guy. He just turned out to not be that type of player. I think he needs to be a 1-2 punch. I think that's why they did the in-season trade for Cam Akers. That's why they did the trade for Dalton Risner on the offensive line. I'm proud of the offensive line. I've harped on them for a long time. They're playing at a very high level now. And I think that kind of going forward with the season, obviously it sucks that Kirk went down. I'm going to put up some graphics that I snagged offline, and we'll talk about those just for a minute. I do think the Vikings are not out of this yet. They went from 0-3 to being 4-4. They're in second place in the division. They're right now, if the playoffs started today, the Vikings are the 7th seed. They're not out of this thing yet. And we still have Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago. We got 4 more division games. If the Lions were to somehow skunk parts of their season and the division games, the Vikings are right back in it. And I know it's a tall task to ask for, and it might not happen. It probably couldn't happen. But to say that with Vikings history that it can't happen is wrong, because look what Case Keenum comes in, does his thing. He took over for Sam Bradford, and they go to the NFC Championship. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. That's not realistic. That's a good hope, though. I mean, but for a team to tank and just throw in the towel and be like, yeah, we're done. Like, I mean, especially when they've clawed their way back into the situation. Flo's defense is a top 15 defense right now. I just think that would be a spit in the face to all these guys that are wanting, they've been wanting to win games. The defense is playing a lot better now. We harped on the defense last year, John. We harped on the offensive line last year. All these things are improving, and I think to tank on a season where we don't really know what's left would be a mistake. So I think like a lot of the players are saying, including my favorite Hitman, number 22, Cameron Bynum, 24, at safety. I think that what they're saying is really cool in terms of the best football is still in front of them.
Dang, you gotta love that.
I love what Kevin O'Connell said, that yeah, Kirk went down, but this season's not over. There's 9 more opportunities, and we can't feel sorry about it. We got to move on. And I mean, I do think the best option, even past this season, is for the Vikings to possibly re-sign Kirk. Kirk was playing the best football of his career ever this year with Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne. Like, obviously, you're not going to be able to keep everybody around, but I think you can find a way to keep most of them around. These guys seem tight. I do think that this team was very talented with everybody there. I mean, we won some of these games, you guys, without Justin Jefferson for this is the 3rd week now.
Yeah.
We were winning games without Justin. So imagine what this offense looks like with Kirk, and then all the other guys coming back all at the same time, being healthy and going forward. So the Kirk thing, it definitely stinks. And KOC has also talked about how he wants Kirk around. So I think that if they go get a quarterback in the draft, if Jaron Hall doesn't pan out this year, I do think you owe it to Jaron to see what he's kind of got. If it's not working, put in some Josh Dobbs, and then maybe go to the draft and get a quarterback that can sit underneath Kirk. Kirk should know that, he just tore his Achilles. He's coming off a big injury. That he can't ask for all the money in the world. He had his big contract. I think that if he wants to earn another big contract, he has to come back healthy, and ball out again and keep going. And I know it's going to be hard to recreate, but I think that's my situation. So like we said, Kirk Cousins is out for the season. And then for not just for the Vikings, but for any team, these are some things that just kind of stood out to me throughout the week. Bart Starr once said, "Anyone can support a team that is winning. It takes courage to. It takes no courage, but to stand behind a team when it's down and really needs you, that takes a lot of courage." I think that I can't stand. I know that I can't stand the bandwagon fans of especially I know a specific Packer fan that is a Jets fan all of a sudden because Aaron went there and he kind of trashes the Packers and is like, "Oh, I might be done with this team." Like that to me, that is not sticking with your team. That's not a loyal fan base. I told him straight up. I said, "You take that attitude to Lambeau, and you see how fast you get dog walked out of that stadium by Packer fans." I mean, you can take it to work with you, but then the reason why I think it's hard to let go of the idea of Kirk not being in Minnesota is because of things like this. So this is from Purple for the Win podcast. I love his podcast. Go check it out. Huge Minnesota sports fan. He does a very good coverage of it. And lots of cool talk that he has too there, a little bit out there. So he posted on X, first major injury of his career. He's in major pain. His season has ended and he most likely knows it. Future is uncertain. The dude's still cheering on his team, and the first question he asks to his teammates in the locker room is, "Did we win?" That's a leader. Quarterback. #quarterback1.
We love Kurt.
That's Captain Kirk, man. He was clapping his hands on the sideline watching his team play. And then Kirk today posted also on X, "Surgery was a success. Grateful for your prayers. Dr. Coetze's abilities and our medical team would appreciate continued prayers one day at a time." And look at that. He's got a purple cast on. He did have a surgery that, similar to Aaron Rodgers by the same doctor that, Rodgers recommended. So thank you, Aaron, for pointing him in some directions and also just for whatever you do in the future with this process for Kirk healing, because obviously you played against him for years. And then just like it's just really interesting that one of the fans posted this about Kirk. This was the day of the injury, the day of. At Kirk Cousins 8, my nephew met you tonight at the Halloween party. You could have stayed away. You could have said no to an autograph. No one would have blamed you after the day you've had. Thank you for showing him that despite all bad, you can rise above it. #Vikings. So these are all reasons outside of football that I think you want a good leader in a locker room like Kirk. And I think that if the Vikings were to re-sign Kirk, it would be a very good thing because you're showing Jaron Hall what it takes to be a leader, what it takes to prep a team. And on top of it, you have a great quarterback in Kirk Cousins. His numbers have been outrageous this year when he was playing. He's done everything that was asked of him. He gave this team everything. So that's all I have to say on it. And on your Chargers, I mean, rough record, similar kind of season, but I think that you guys got some pieces and you just got to figure some stuff out.
I mean, hindsight, we're one game out of the 6th seed of the AFC.
Yep.
So, there's still games to be played. For you and me both.
Yep.
For both our teams.
There's
still games to be played.
I've told every football fan I've talked to still, even with the situation we have going on, is that, hey, there's still 9 games left. And, that, as annoying as it is, I am happy for Lions fans in the position that they're in. But one thing I will say is don't get arrogant or cocky. Stay humble.
Don't get comfy.
Because any given Sunday in the NFL, any team can win. Any team can win. Don't get comfortable. You have a 2-game lead. And if you guys do not clinch the division this year and Minnesota somehow comes back, you will never hear the end of it.
Not from Mike.
Not from me, not from any Vikings fans, because of all the smack that we've seen talked. You will never hear the end of it from Vikings fans. That you had all the success in the beginning of a season and you squandered it. So, keep playing good football. Good luck on the year. We'll see you guys next week. And thank you for listening and watching. And I will be uploading this to Spotify. So, you can find this on Spotify wherever you find your podcast. So, thanks again, guys. Have a good night.
Peace.
All right, the recording is done. Well, we are finishing this up. Callisto, chat, any questions on your fantasy rosters? We didn't get to go too much into them just because it was like our first episode back recording. There will be more fantasy coverage. We just had a lot to cover tonight. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Questions?
Well, he had that. Callisto asked earlier. Seems like we're seeing more of these past few seasons. Are the league's injuries? Are the leagues being more cautious, tending to put players on IR more than they used to? And I feel like they are. We just gotta err on the side of caution, especially how big a deal with Hamilton and Tua.
Mm-hmm.
They can't afford another bad reputation. So yeah, I think they are being more precautious with injuries and all these.
Callisto, come on.
It's like I got a full IR roster right now, 3-5. My next matchup is against Mike, so I don't see that changing.
Listen.
No, Callisto, you get your best team and you put it forward, and Mike's going down.
Here's
I believe in it.
here's the thing, Callisto, is I've had some weeks where I'm supposed to absolutely win, and my team doesn't show up. It's one of those things. There's plenty on the waiver wire right now. I've been trying to figure out if the players are being more physical, but I'm not really seeing that. No, I just think there's more precaution now. Like what people don't understand fully is that when there's some injuries, like Justin Jefferson's is a hamstring injury, and normally those can kind of linger on. And some guys will try to, in the past, will have tried to like go back like a week later and play or something like that. But like now there's like rulings on it that you have to sit out for, a month, 3-4 weeks. I think 4 weeks is the minimum. And then they, get you back and going, because it sounds bad to say, but it is true that the NFL is a business, and when they lose a guy that like with the name of Justin Jefferson for, a month of football that people pay money to watch, like they're like, oh, we want these players to get back. It is a little bit of marketing, but I think mostly it's just for the players' health so they can come back healthy. The big name attractions to come back and be on the field. And obviously, it's rough with Kirk, and I mean Aaron's not playing this year. I still don't think Aaron will fully come back this year, because my thoughts if Aaron comes back is just, I think if he came back next year healthy, it'd be good. But coming back into a season after the surgery that him and Kirk have both now had, I think there's a level of like getting your mobility back, and Aaron's known for being able to get out of the pocket and run and scramble and make something out of nothing. So knowing that he would be slower, I just feel like it wouldn't be smart for Aaron to come back, given no matter where the Jets are. But if he does, he does. Who knows? They're saying that he's on pace to be back by like in the teens, of the week. So we'll see what they come up with. And Callisto, don't ever give up hope on your team. I'm in the same situation in a couple leagues, but I went into the waivers and I got some serious pickups in those leagues.
It's a tough waiver wire.
It's super, and you got to think a lot of our leagues went from 10-man to 12-man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just thins the waiver wire out even more than what it already was. So just keep that in mind. I went out and got Will Levis, Trey McBride, for target share over in Arizona. I just feel like he's been getting the ball quite a bit. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say what's going to happen in fantasy. I mean, I didn't foresee Jimmy Garoppolo getting benched, but here we are. I mean, Aiden O'Connell is going to be on a waiver wire. So there's options. But yeah, don't give up on your team.
I
That's
gotta
what.
take off, my man.
Yep, I think we're gonna end it there, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll have more fantasy takes on next week's episode with less coverage on the other stuff because we had to get caught up. So we'll see you guys next week. We'll update you on the day of the week that we'll be going.